Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Trombone First Aid. Today I'm talking about low register. I think that building low register properly is really important for every trombone player. Even if in the future you want to focus on solos and maybe first trombone or alto trombone, orchestral accepts, having a base for the low register is really fundamental. It's like paving the way to the high register, so you can step in a solid background and then you can safely go high. Low registers is also very important for building safety in airflow, because it requires a lot of air. So you have to learn how to manage your air content in lungs, and then how to dose your airflow. Low register is also very useful for practicing, because it's not heavy for the lips, but actually for the entire body. So you learn how to use most of your energy, not using force on the lips, but having a solid, grounded airflow. There are several exercises to build a stronger low register. We saw some of them in the flexibility part. And so on, like that. Also, in the warm-up phase, you could use some low register glissatos. We started with then you could go and also use a lot of air, so you can make it a bit faster. Just be careful of having an even emission, even sound in the low register when you play glissatos, because normally when you go low it tends to be like big diminuendo. So you have to compensate this, just giving more. It's not about strength, it's about quantity, it's by volume of air. This low F is really demanding for air. So you have to be able how to deal with it, with this expense of air. And I find this very important for later, when you want to go high and you have to manage somehow to play long phrases, or just having a lot of air at your disposal. In my practice time, I try always to switch between central register, mid-range, and low register, because if you spend too much time just playing low, maybe your embouchure and your sound is getting out of focus and you are doing something strange. So what I like doing is, for example, taking a very easy study, like from Albans or whatever you like, and then you read it in the octave which is published, and you can play it one octave lower. You can maybe use it for 2 bars and then 2 bars lower. This way you don't risk losing control, because you are forced to go back to the mid register. So you can compare if your sound is getting strange or out of focus while going down. Otherwise, you can play other exercises like that, once as written and once 1 octave lower. Then and like this you can go on with whatever you like. Just be careful not to spend too much time in the lower register without coming back. I think starting from a safe zone, a comfortable zone, will always let you start in the best possible way. And then when you go on by yourself, you can really judge if something is changing in your playing. So you risk less taking bad habits and doing something which is not correct. As I said, elasticity is a big fact for trombone. So if you spend too much time in the low register without coming up, you don't know if your position is kind of blocked or locked in the low register. So being able to switch register is a warranty for you, that you will always be able to move from down to high and the other way around. I find it very important to work also with the mouthpiece in the low register. Whenever you have a difficulty with your instrument, that's probably because your vibration is not efficient enough, or your airflow is not right, or your lips are too tight, or you are doing something weird with your throat. So just check yourself with the mouthpiece at the mirror and ask your teacher to check it for you if you're not sure, because most of the problems are really evident when you play with the mouthpiece. You can kind of cheat when you play with the trombone. The problem in the low register is that you really need to make the trombone sound. So you have to put a lot of air in vibration. Tendency would be to just have a buzzing sound also in your instrument, and you may recognize you are playing the right low note, but actually it's very poor, it's kind of dry and not warm, so the body of the sound is missing. You can work a lot, we can all work a lot on this, just paying attention to the sound and the warmth of this sound, the volume we can give to this sound. And using the mouthpiece can improve quite a lot. So not long, you should just spend a few minutes on it, but test yourself in the lower register with the mouthpiece. Maybe you can get help from this rubber pipe I told you about, 12-13 centimeters. So you can have extra resistance. Then you can really go down until you reach the lowest note, and you work on making it sound bigger and warmer even in the mouthpiece. I strongly encourage you to play melodic studies 1 octave lower, or in tenor key 2 octave lower. So you can really build your low register thinking musically and not just like an exercise. So you can use this knowledge about how to deal with airflow when you play in the mid-range and high range. I suggest you to practice low register mostly legato, or even better glissado, as I said, also with the mouthpiece. But very useful is also to practice articulation in the low register. So you learn how to really give more importance to airflow than tongue. Whenever you use the tongue, you stop the airflow, so the sound cannot be produced, because we have to remember that our lips react to the airflow that we put in their back, and then the sound comes. Otherwise, just using the tongue, it will just noise, just percussion. So low register needs also a lot of air to start. That's why it's good to learn how to start low notes without using or without relying too much in the tongue, because it's actually relying in something which kills the sound. Of course, in the end, it's mostly noise, but trying to make it sound is also very important. Glissatos can always help you to find the vibration, but then with the staccato stuff you can find a way to give enough energy to start the sound. When we play in the low register, we usually need a lot of slow air, but when we want to articulate it, then we have to find a balance between fast and slow. So we have to play with the speed of air in order to give it enough energy to start the sound, instead of just using the tongue to activate the vibration of our lips. This is something you have to practice, because it's quite tricky. The balance is very subtle, so you have to find the sweet spot where it really works. So just playing scales or repeating notes in the low register can help you. Mostly I'm not using the tongue, but giving an air pulse to start the note. Just keep in mind that playing low register requires you to hold your corners quite firmly, so you can have control of it, and you have to let the upper and lower lip quite soft to let them into the mouthpiece and vibrate properly. I hope this episode was also interesting. If you liked it, just press like down or subscribe my channel. Any question, just post in the comments. I will try to answer whenever I have time. Thank you very much.